Hello everybody, and welcome to ZookaMan Streaming, where I get in you and your replays to be casted for my entertainment, and hopefully to help you improve a little bit as well. I'm your host, ZookaMan, and we're going to be going into a ZVP. Without further hesitation, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our players. In the bottom 5 o'clock position, we have Federer spawning in as the red Protoss player, and his opponent on the 12 o'clock position, we have Asdasdasd spawning in as the blue Zerg player. So, a little bit of a disclaimer here before we go into the actual cast, guys. You might notice that my overlay is a little bit different than it normally is. Usually I use the reskin, and right now I'm using the default. So, I just wanted to let you guys know before the cast goes on that I am going to be starting to switch around my overlays a little bit and try around, or play around to see which one I like the best. Just to kind of see which one fits best for what I'm doing and which one looks best and all that fun stuff. So don't be surprised if in the next couple of weeks you guys see different overlays for my casts. It's just basically a little bit of a testing period for me. So without aside, let's go into our cast. We have a ZVP. And what do we see normally in CVP? Well, starting from the Zerg side of the field, a lot of what we're seeing right now, I've seen right now, especially from higher level players, is an earlier hatch, which is exactly what we're going to be seeing Asdasdasd go for. Sometimes you see an earlier pool, especially in high levels, you're wanting to see the expansion a little bit earlier, which is pretty good. Definitely like to see that. Wouldn't mind to see his pool come down a little bit soon here as well, and it's going to be going down as well. So what I'd like to see out of the Protoss player, a little bit greedy here with a Nexus first. If he had seen his opponent was going for any sort of Zergling pressure, this would have been not exactly the best move. I don't believe he even scouted out. No, he hasn't even scouted out his opponent. So he blindly went for that natural expansion, which may or may not pay off for him in this game. We'll have to wait and see, folks. So from the Protoss side of the field, what I'd like to see is one gate. Early game we see one gate or Nexus, Force Traffic Command Nexus. In this case, being your Nexus first into gateway into probably wall off for the natural, which is all fine and dandy. So what do I like to see out of these players from mid game? Well, from the Protoss side of things, I'd like to see a robotics facility, or Stargate, respectively. Personally, I'd like to see the robotics facility because I think that the robotics facility is a little bit more all around, while the Stargate is a little bit more centered towards anti-muta. I suppose that the Stargate can be used pretty efficiently if you have Oracles out, especially against a high macroing Zerg player who's going to go for like quick 3 bases and doesn't really have the resources to spend on support crawlers, or doesn't. I suppose you could do pretty well with that. But normally I would like to see, personal preference, being the robotics facility. And from the Zerg side of the field, there's a lot of things he can do. I'd like to see him drop down to third base. I'd like to see him kind of macro up and get up on that third base, get his economy going, start getting caught up to the Protoss player a little bit in that economy because of that quick Nexus first. Probuzik actually going to die to the Zergling there, which is kind of sad. Indeed. So yeah, I would like to see that. Maybe into some sort of like pressure with Zerglings, or maybe go into like even to a Baneling bust. Maybe even seeing a Roach Hydra push out would even be pretty good, especially seeing as we're having the Stargate come down. A Roach Hydra push in the mid game could do a lot of damage, depending upon what Federer is deciding to do with this. If this is just coming out for a couple of Oracles just to do a little bit of damage, maybe not as much. But if he's going to commit this into like Void Ray production or Phoenix production, if he's going to be doing either one of those, then I would have to say that it's going to be even more effective than if he wasn't. Third base is going to be coming out from Federer back home. Does have his +1 coming out. Pretty standard on his timings as far as that goes. And it's going to be going for a Void Ray first, which is kind of interesting. Honestly, I would have preferred to see the Oracle production as opposed to the Void Barrier production, because I don't necessarily think the Void Barrier production will help him out at this point. Yeah, to a certain extent, at some point, Void Barriers are pretty good late game, especially against really heavy Roach compositions. But I don't necessarily agree with opening Void Rays unless it's kind of like... I have seen a few times in the past where players have opened up a couple of Void Rays and used them to kind of pressure their opponent a little bit and then start to go on to something else like Robotics Facility. Unless it's something like that, where even then it's kind of difficult to say if it's actually worth it. He might get a queen or two, but I don't expect to see him to get a lot of like drone kills, for example. So we'll have to see exactly what he's planning on doing for that. Third base is going to be coming out from our Protest player. Of course, it is already established from our Zerg player. Does have quite a few Spore Crawlers coming up. So Spore Crawlers are at the main, third, and natural, protecting them from any sort of pressure that any sort of air is going to be doing. So that means that the Void Rays aren't going to be able to do as much damage as if they would have initially. They might be able to snipe a queen or two, maybe get an Overlord or two, but they're not really going to be able to do as much damage as I think Federer wanted them to. So plus we're going to be adding on for the missile attacks from our Zerg player. And we're missing layer tech when it's combined layer and high for some reason. And we're missing layer tech just about now finishing up from him as well. Protoss player is going to be grabbing his Twilight Council. I would have to say this is a Blink follow-up. I don't really necessarily expect a charge lot follow-up. He could technically be going into a High Templar follow-up, as he does have that third base up, but I definitely think Blink Stalker is probably the best plan for him at this point. That would be my assumption. I would not... I don't know. High Templar is really kind of the greedy strategy to go off of this. And the charge lots won't do anything against anything higher than the Zergling, unless he has a lot of charge lots. So we are seeing a macro hatch coming up from Asdasdasd, and this is something I like to see, keeping your bank nice and low with an extra hatchery coming up. Good job there, Asdasdasd. We do have a couple of rounds of roaches coming out, about 12 hitting the field right now, and a Hydralisk Den just not finishing up from him as well, which means we're probably going to be seeing Roach Hydra. What I'd like to see off of that is a little bit of a mid-game push here, because, well, the Protoss player doesn't really have much in terms of units. Yeah, he only has the 3 Void Rays and a Mothership Core, which is just crazy to think about. Crazy indeed. And we're seeing him go for +2 weapons, and he's going to continue the Void Ray production, which is a little bit strange. Just now going to be getting some sentries up, which could be good, could be bad. It kind of depends on what we see from our Zerg player. I would like to see them earlier, but I understand that he hasn't really been able to afford the gas until right about now. Additional gateways are going to be coming down around this third base, just to make sure there's no, like, crazy Bangling bus coming out or something like that. That will make it a little bit more defensive. Meanwhile, we have Roach Speed coming up from our Zerg player. He's going up on 2 missile attacks. He's going to get the Vroom Finds, which I believe is the range for Hydralisk, I believe. It's like +2 range for the Hydralisk. Fourth base coming up from our Zerg player at the back is going to be getting his double gas as well, which is all fine and dandy. Protoss player is going to be going up onto Templar Tech, which is kind of a curious decision, I guess, for the Storms, but I personally think Colossus probably would have helped him a little bit more in this situation, because Colossus are so good against Roach Hydra. Not to say that Storms aren't, but Colossus are able to fire off more than one burst, and as of right now, if push comes out, he will be able to get approximately 1 Storm at most, maybe 2, depending on when he warps in the Zealot, or when he warps in the High Templar. Information coming out from our Zerg player back home. My anticipation would be to see it going into Hive Tech. That would be my guess. We could also be seeing 3/3 upgrades off of that. Ultralisks. We could be seeing a Spire going into Greater Spire for Broodlords, which is probably a little bit less of a factor because of the fact that we do have those Void Rays up above. Meanwhile, Federer going to be going up onto quite a bit of charge lots here. Has a couple, and by a couple I mean 1 High Templar up, with approximately 0 Storms right now. So he's going to have to wait for that to be able to do anything anyways, besides he still needs a Psionic Storm. We know we have Pathogen Clans coming up from our Reserve player. He's going to be going up onto Hive Tech fairly shortly here, adding on an additional Evolution Chamber. From him, I'd like to see him, first of all, saturate this 4th base a little bit better. And then I would like to see quite a few Roaches and quite a few Hydralisks come out on the field, and then kind of see him move out across the map, and try to get the natural, try to get 3rd, stop the 4th base, do something along those lines, get a little bit of damage on as opposed to sitting back at home. I guess he's going to just kind of sit back at home. Spire going to be coming down from Asdasdasd back home. Is about now maxed out, so he should be moving out fairly shortly here, as there's not really a big use of standing around. Quite a few Void Rays in the sky right now. I believe we have 11. That's quite a few Void Rays up there, which are going to be pretty effective against the Roaches, but if we see a tech switch from Roaches to Mutas, or not Mutas, well yeah, Mutas could work. Mutas, but if we have more Hydralisks coming out on the field, then suddenly those Void Rays aren't necessarily quite as effective as they were before. So we're seeing Asdasdasd going out across the map now. He's going to be pushing out to the natural, I believe. Yes, looks like he's going... Nope, that's the 3rd base. So he's going to be going for the 3rd base. Fire is going to be finishing out behind this, so he's going to be able to remax out on Mutas if you'd like to. Does have quite a few units in the back, kind of stop-ordered, which is kind of a curious decision. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but here comes the major engagement coming up. We're going to be seeing quite a few units here dying from Federer. Asdasdasd is going to be losing a few to the force fields, but he's going to be remacking 5 Queens into this army, which is mostly Hydralisks, and now has a couple of Queen support. Meanwhile, we're going to be seeing another engagement here come. Pretty good storm coming out on the Hydralisks in the front here. Another one going to be going down all over those Hydralisks, and suddenly, Asdasdasd has to fall back here. Those storms doing quite a bit of damage, not even counting those Zealots in the front. Meanwhile, we're seeing the Queens get pretty much free reign over those sentries. Quite a few forces are going to be going down to split up the army a little bit. And suddenly Asdasdasd is dropping in supply, but he has 22 Zerglings and 26 Hydralisks coming out on the map after this pretty good transfuse on his Queens, keeping them alive as much as he possibly can. We do have that +1 coming up from the flyer attacks. We do have 3-2 going out for the ground units. And from the Zorg player, what I would like to see is a tech switch out off of the kind of army of Roach Hydra with the Infestor support. Sorry, I forgot the name for a second there. But here comes the major engagement here. Hold that thought. We're going to be seeing quite a bit done here. Void Rays going to be melting away the front. However, the Hydralisks are going to be doing quite a bit of DPS. A couple of forces going to be coming out, helping out the Zealots in the front. But this might not be enough, though. Good Falling Growth coming up on those Void Rays, going to kind of be taking them out. Meanwhile, all those Zealots are just going to go down. And suddenly those Void Rays are in major danger. All of those Zealots are going to die. All the sentries are going to die. And suddenly, Asdasdasd pushing back into this game. We do have a 5th base up for him back home. Is a little bit damaged. I believe there was a Zealot won by during one of those major engagements there. We'll have to see him grab his gas. And like I was saying before, kind of tech switch over or add in some additional tier 3 tech besides the Infestors. Yeah, the Fungal Growths are good. I would even suggest putting out some Mutalisks. Corruptors not being the best idea because they are armored. But I wouldn't mind seeing Mutalisks added into this composition to kind of help out against the Void Rays, because Mutalisks being light and a lot of them just has a crazy amount of DPS anyways. From the Protestant side of the field, I kind of don't like the fact that he is constantly continuing his Void Ray production. I would like to see him drop down to Robotics Bay and start moving into Colossus Tech. Meanwhile, we're seeing a little bit of a Zealot harass here. We have Twin SGs coming up on the hat tree, which will save it pretty easily. But as I was saying, I'd like to see Robotics Bay drop down, and Colossus get kind of macroed out, because this entire army is weak against Colossus, save maybe the Queens. So, would definitely like to see that out of him. But we're going to be seeing Fleet Bacon. Yes, I did say bacon because bacon is delicious. As well as the Dark Shrine coming up, which Dark Templar are good at any point in the game, more or less. But I don't think it's necessarily what he needs to do, unless, here being the big the big point here. Unless he's able to stop a lot of the Zerg economy, the problem is that in pretty much 4 out of 5 bases, we have Spore Crawlers pretty much within distance of a Spine Crawler. And make that probably 3. So we have Spore Crawlers around almost every base besides the 4th and the 5th. So Dark Templar aren't really going to necessarily be as effective as you would see otherwise. And now we're going to be seeing our Zerg player going to transition into Locust. Here comes the Protoss player looking for engagement here. I don't necessarily agree with him engaging this because the army is stacked up against him. Storms are going to be coming up on this. Hydra's going to be a lot of damage done, but is it enough? It doesn't really seem like it. Federer are going to be losing a lot of units here. Those Voiders are definitely going to be going down as the Slungers are keeping them from running away. Asdasdasd are going to be taking a good position here in this fight. A couple of Archons are coming up to do a little bit of DPS, but I can't imagine them breaking this just by themselves. So no, it looks like Asdasdasd is going to be able to finish them off. Zealot, lots of Zealots going to be out on the map, and they're going to be kind of doing a little bit of damage here, but we do have 31 Hydralisks going to be remacroed. Enduring Locust is about now finished up. We do have +3 armor added onto these units as well, which will put them onto 3-3. Lots of Zealots here, but the Hydralisks are going to be popping out, which means that the Zealots aren't really going to be able to do a whole lot. They're going to get quite a few Queens, however, which is a good thing. It's going to stop the inject power of the Zerg player, but I'm not sure if it's necessarily enough. Lots more Zealots. Oh, wow. Going to be going for that 5th base. 5th base is going to go down. However, Federer dropping to below 100 supply here, and he's not really tech switching. He should be getting his Robotics Bay and start moving into Colossus. I think that would be the best idea for him. Kind of macro up, maybe even grab like Blink Stalkers, put them into this army, just to kind of help out a little bit, because as it is, his army is just not strong enough. He did stop Void Ray production, which I do agree with. The Void Rays were kind of not helping anymore in his army against this mostly Hydralisk ball, but if he gets Colossus, he's going to have double the AoE, not to mention the fact that he has double the AoE, but he's also going to be able to consistently put out the AoE. Yeah, he's going to have the storms from the Templar, but he's going to be able to continuously put out the AoE from the Thermal Lance Colossus. You know, this Hydralisks are coming out from the natural base here. 178 to 153 supply, 69 to 78 Harvesters, and Asdasdasd is going to be getting pretty much that entire wall for the natural expansion. Might even be getting the natural expansion, but here comes quite a bit of Zealots here, and storming capabilities in the back, and suddenly he's getting trapped between Dark Templar and the High Templar, and suddenly the feedbacks are going off on the Infestors, and Federer are going to be taking the engagement. He is going to be almost losing a couple of High Templar here, which are the only sole survivors of the brutal encounter that they just witnessed. +3 flyers are going to be coming up from our Zerg player. Now we're going to be even seeing melee attacks added on. While we see Federer moving out with this kind of Zealot Dark Templar ball towards the 5th base or 4th base, one of the two. And by that, of course, I mean he's going to dance back and forth and say, I could, but I don't want to, but I will, for a little bit there. Creepy's going to scout that this is going out across the field. He's going to be able to react accordingly, and I believe he's going to drop down. He does have an additional spy card coming down in the back of the base. Meanwhile, we do have the Zealots coming in. Could use to put a fungal growth down on those units there, and is actually not going to, so a little bit of a missed opportunity there. Could have gotten a lot more units. He might have been out. Nope, he's not out of energy, so I'm not sure exactly what that is. Zealot Run-By is going to be coming up into this 5th base, getting a little bit of damage done, but instead going for the hatchery as opposed to the drones, and this army is going to be going up into the 5th, 4th base to get a little bit of damage done, but there are Infestors here to kind of delay the opponent until the Hydralisk can get back after they deal with the army over here. Suddenly the main army is going to come back. We are going to be losing Queen here. Might lose a hatchery, but no, we're going to be seeing good Infestor control going to be taking care of that. One storm is going to kind of go well on one side of the Hydralisk. Not going to be getting as much damage as he needed to. And suddenly, Asdasdasd is just going to be mopping up the rest of the army here. Taking over the look at the Harvester tab, we have 66 to 77 against in favor of the Protoss player, and suddenly I'm not actually sure why. If he's so far ahead in his Harvester count, he's kind of behind in his composition, I guess. I would like to see the I would still like to see the Colossus, especially with the Swarm Host adding onto the field now. But Colossus, I mean, even to that point, I'd love to see Blink Stalkers, and actually Dark Giant's going to get empowered back home. But I would like to see more AoE into this army, and even putting a couple more Archons would be good. But I definitely think double Colossus production would be a very good addition against a very heavy Hydralisk composition that we see from our Zerg player. Zerg player is going to be finishing up with his fire level 3. Is going to have Burrow coming up on the field, +2 melee as well. And Protoss player is going to be going up on 333, I believe. No, just yep, 332 because that's 2. And as it's going to be kind of assaulting the base over here of our Protoss player, the 5th base, I believe. While Federer is going to be moving out a little bit and going to be clearing away a little bit of creep in the middle of the map. He's going to be going for the Oracle as opposed to the Observer, which is kind of curious. He does have the double robotics facilities on the field, and he's not using them for robotics bay yet. He's not really using them for anything really. So it might be good to have a couple of observers put in his army. We do finally see Colossus production going to be starting in a little bit. We do have robotics bay going to be coming out fairly shortly here. Meanwhile, we're going to Swarm Host going to be constantly assaulting this base, kind of forcing Federer on his back foot. There aren't a whole lot of Swarm Hosts here, so he should be able to hold with what he has now, but definitely the Colossus would be a good addition to his army. I definitely would agree with that. We do have melee Carapace level 1 as well as that level 2 on the ground melee. Let me finishing up here as well. And we have a couple of more Spine Crawlers going to be Rape Shirt out for his defense. Blink kind of coming up really late as well. And I suppose he hasn't really been doing much with Stalkers, but definitely do agree with the fact that he's going to need Blink after he starts his Colossus production, because of the fact that he's going to need Blink Stalkers to protect his Colossus. There are Archons on the map, but there really aren't a whole lot there to be able to take care of that. So I do agree with the Blink. I really would have liked to see it earlier than now, though, just so that he was able to warp in Stalkers at any time he wanted to and not have to worry about getting a Blink. From a Zerg player side of the field, we have additional Swarm Hosts coming out on the way. And I believe that he's going to try to starve his opponent off while he has a little bit of freedom, and he's going to try to deny bases, force the army where he has to be. Maybe he's going to decide to push in a little bit here when he has a little bit more units, maybe, or he's waiting for an upgrade. No, I'm not sure exactly why he's waiting. Maybe he's just trying to go for a... he's trying to starve out his opponent with his Swarm Host up here, while kind of denying bases and and probes and stuff like that, with a little bit of roaches in the natural. Federer is going to be falling back to the natural to deal with the roaches, and by that, of course, I mean he's going to go back up to the base that is mining and defend that. Isn't going to be warping in anything, which is a little bit odd. Even I'd like to see a couple of warp in Zealots. I mean, he's not maxed. He can afford it. Oh, please, Federer, please don't lose your entire main base to roaches. Meanwhile, we have the Ultralisks coming out on the field in a little bit here. Ultralisk Cavern isn't going to be on the way. We do have melee level 3 on the way as well. Tunneling Claws for the roaches, because why not? Blink is going to be halted in the Twilight Council, and that's really going to be big. He needs that Blink on the field if he wants to protect his Colossus against any sort of air switch that the Zerg is planning on going for. The entire main base is going to die to roaches, isn't it, guys? So we're going to be seeing the Cybernetics Core going to be taken out. We do have a Mothership Core being macroed out from a Protoss player who is on 6 or 7 Colossus. 6, he's on 6 right now. And it's going to be looking like he wants to move out here and kind of sack the base to the north and sack his main base. I don't really necessarily agree with that decision. You're not going to finally be putting out Zealots to kind of stop these roaches, but not really going to be able to do that. Stormhosts are going to be getting all over this northern base, but the Protoss army is going to be moving in here. Here comes a major engagement. A couple of good force shields need to go off, but I don't believe he has any sentries, and suddenly the Concave is going to go in favor of our Zerg player. But, oh my gosh, there's a lot of AoE coming out here from Federer. Even going to be getting quite a few storms out. And it looks like he's going to be winning that engagement hands down. However, guys, when in doubt, build 44 Mutalisks. Because you have the gas for that. Protoss player is going to be getting a 5th base, I believe, for Asdasdasd. But the Mutalisk switch is going to come out as a pretty hefty cost here. Needs to be really careful with those Mutalisks coming out. He needs to be careful about how he engages. I wouldn't even disagree with going for a base race with those Mutalisks. That might be the way to use them. Oh my gosh, the flock of Mutalisks. Oh my gosh. Okay. So hopefully those are going to be going out. Oh gosh. This is a very heavy Colossus army right now. Meanwhile, the Mutalisks are going to be going into the main base, but there isn't really a whole lot there. They're going to be getting the last little scraps of the 3rd base over here. And suddenly the Protoss player deciding, I'm going to kind of move back and defend that before I die to the Mutalisks. But I'm not sure that there's really a whole lot he can do unless he lands pretty good storms. He does have a few Archons, which should be able to get a little bit of AoE off. But he doesn't have a whole lot of Blink Stalkers. He doesn't really have a lot of Phoenixes. And suddenly the Zerg player's in a pretty good position here. Really, he's getting another base here with the Mutalisks. He's going to have quite a bit of free reign here. And the Protoss player is going to kind of fall back here. But not really. He has 6 observers just kind of hanging out. Asdasdasd has to be careful about engaging this army. I don't think he can take it on straight on right now, but if he can go in, Sniper Mothership, back up. Go in, Cyber Colossus, back up, and start like whittling down his opponent, he'll be in a good position. But if he doesn't, and tries to engage it up, straight up, then he's going to be in a bad position. Meanwhile, we have some Zealots can be warped in to kind of buy the Protoss some time, but he is only on 1 base, and this is pretty much the army that he's going to get. 148 to 188 supply. Two Harvesters to 33. This last engagement probably will determine who wins the game, guys. And I think right now, Federer has a pretty good chance of winning as long as he can find a way to either directly engage the Mutalisks or keep the Mutalisks from attacking his main base while he clears the rest of the Zerg off. That would be his step of things. Asdasdasd obviously doesn't want that to happen. He wants to defeat the Protoss player either by engaging the army directly, which he can do as long as he's careful, or just going around him and base trading, which it looks like we're going to be going for option B from our Zerg player. And he is going to get quite a few. Oh gosh, those are all clumped up with good storms, a few good storms, a couple of Archons really clean that up. Zerg player is going to be kind of engaging the Phoenixes a little bit. I mean, they're not really doing anything more than tickling. And he's going to get quite a few pylons here and should be able to just back off. A couple of Mutalisks are going to go down from those cannons. And Protoss player is in a pretty bad position here, especially with the Ultralisk now coming up on the field for Asdasdasd. He doesn't even have Lings coming out on the map as well. A couple of Dark Templar are coming out across the map to do a little bit of damage, but this is really a mining base. There really isn't a mining base except for down here, which he does have a couple of spines coming down just to help defend that. Wouldn't mind seeing a couple of spores as well. Mutalisks are going to be going up into the base over here to get a little bit more damage done and see what they can do. They probably can take this directly on. I kind of like the fact that they are focusing the pylons. It's a good idea. Costing Federer to be a little bit supply block, but it's not literally like he's going to be able to warp anything in anyways. It's just kind of sort of a precaution. So the Protoss player is going to say, I had it, and go for the base trade, going to be going up, grabbing this base. Getting this base, I believe, with the... Nope, not going to getting those, because there's fairly sufficient queens, maybe, actually. Not sure. Units are going to be getting quite close here. There's a lot of buildings kind of still up for the Zerg player, and I think that, really, if it's going to come down to a base trade, the Protoss is in a worse position. Really. He's down to his last buildings, he's being revealed, and the Zerg player definitely still has a little bit of breath in him. Has 3 more bases, as well as the fact that he probably could go in and take his army on with the Mutalisk if he so chose. If he so chose. Yeah, that makes sense. Mutas are kind of splitting up here, which we don't really need. We want them together because they can do more TPS. Actually, that Roach is going to be the hero Roach that starts the battle against that gateway. That Roach is going to be remembered as a hero. So the main base is going to be kind of scraped clean from our Zerg player at this point. But, well, any base is scraped clean from our Protoss player is down to 2 pylons, I believe. 3 pylons, sorry. And he is revealed, so it's only a matter of time before the Zerg player is able to find those and pretty much just exterminate them. And there's just simply too many buildings on the map for the Zerg player. The Mutalisks are too mobile to actually be able to... looks like he's going to go for the engagement, actually. Which I kind of question... I don't question him being able to take the engagement. I question him deciding to take the engagement now. We can just go around and defeat his opponent by sniping off those pylons. It's kind of an interesting decision from him. Kind of want to know what sparked that. Zerg player is going to be coming back into that main base. Isn't really going to be doing much with those Mutalisks. He needs to do something here. Otherwise, he's going to be in a pretty bad position. He's going to snipe an Oracle. Oh, no. I guess the... Okay. Oh, get the Oracle? No? Guess he's not... Oh, there you go. There we go. Oracle's going to go down. Protoss player going to be moving into the natural main base area, and here comes the major engagement from Asdasdasd. Does have quite a few good surrounds here. Storm's actually going to completely miss the Mutalisks, and suddenly, all of a sudden, the Zerg player is going to take the advantage, and that is probably GG, folks. We don't have a single unit left on the map, dropping down to 2 supply. So what did we learn today? Other than that, oh my god, that's actually a pretty cool death animation from the Colossus at that freeze frame. What can we learn? First of all, the Protoss player, I liked how he was starting with Stargate, but I think he stayed on the Stargate tech a little bit too long. Yes, he moved into Templar tech, but when the Templar tech got on the field, it got a little bit damage done. I really think he needed the Colossus earlier to have that extra potential, as well as getting Blink Stalkers up a little bit earlier, or even just Blink earlier and then get Stalkers up into the late game, just so you're able to defend a little bit better. But Archons, Storms, Blink Stalkers, all of those would be good against the Nita Ball that came out. And yeah, we did have the tech switch to Ultras a little bit towards the end of the game, but most of the Ultras are dead at this point. And a couple of Immortals in the army wouldn't hurt, but definitely the Mutas were the biggest problem here. From the Zerg side of the field, I do like several points of his play. He kept his money down pretty well, kept up with his units, did a pretty good job of keeping his bases saturated. But, once again, I kind of like... For the Zerg player, one of the things I want to mention out is that the kind of switch into the Swarm Host there that were aggressing this area over here, which allowed the Roaches to come into the main base. I like that, but I much would have preferred, hey, I'm distracting you with Swarm Host over here, swing into the natural and kill bases, and swing into the main and kill things. I maybe even try to get a little bit of damage on the third, which I think would have been a lot better for him. So I think that's about it, folks. Thank you for joining me on the cast. As always, if you enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe, share, and I will see you on the next cast.